Hey guys, Colorado Jeep Guy here. So my headlights are dim. What I like to do is replace the headlights today. And in order to do that, I've got to take off the grill. Everything in here is jam-packed. Gone are the days where you can just reach around there, twist it off, pop the bulb out, and go back for it. So I want to show you what to do. So let's get to it. I guess the end pieces are just wanting to not cooperate today. So now I'm going to go underneath that guy and pull out the entire piece. You can see what this does. You know, when you pull this piece out, there's just a squeezed together piece, just like you put drywalling in. And when you insert the centerpiece, it spreads this out and anchors it in place. So the grill in the JK now is loose because all of the plastic connectors are here to the side. I'm going to take these away because I don't want to knock them off and lose them. And I'm going to put them in the engine. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to put them aside. Okay, so now to get to the headlight assembly, you know, if you wanted to just adjust your headlights, they've got screws in to the side right here, here. If you were just adjusting, see the little slits there? Is that all? The camera pretty good? Little slits here and here. And if you stick in the very narrow tool that's got the little Allen wrench connector there, you can unloosen that and you can tilt the headlight one way or the other. You can screw it and it tilts it by themselves. And that's easy to do with the grill attached. So now I've got these top ones off and you can see it's flimsy, and in true Jeep fashion, you know, you've got the clips underneath that feels like you're breaking the whole Jeep when you pull it apart. So you have to give it a good strong tug from the bottom preferably. And if you give it a tug all the way around, holding it in place, you can tell that the Jeep comes off, and now you've got the assembly here. So I want to show you one fog light, headlight assembly, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the metal clips that just pulled apart, and then fog light assembly. So the fog light assembly is, if you see here this metal clip on there, that was an additional metal clip that you had to pull loose. So when you're pulling the grill off, you want to pull from the bottom and the fog lights, and you'll have it off completely after you've removed these pieces here. So now I've got the headlight assembly here to go to, and I've got the fog light assemblies here to remove and start my process. So let's get to it. So to get the fog lights out, you just twist, and oh, that was an annoying sound. Pull the fog light loose. Let's go to the other side, do the same thing. You twist about a quarter turn, pull the light out, leave it down. I try to avoid touching the bulbs at all times because when you tend to touch any of these bulbs, LED or the regular ones, they can have a tendency to blow on you or leave a film residue on the bulb. I'm going to put this beautiful grill to the side and I get on it. I've already got the headlights on, and currently the headlights are stock factory headlights. That's bright and that's dim. I'm going to turn the headlights. See, you're in my garage currently. I have upgraded to a new garage here. This will be where all my future videos will be getting done. You got to note a couple of things. You want to put a line on the wall where the headlights are if you're using the wall to adjust your headlight angles, and you note where the dim and the brights are, so when you take a test drive, you can come back and you can use the wall to know if they need to come up or down, so you can put a small mark on them. Since this is the factory one, I'm not doing it that way, but I am going to turn the lights off so you can see the difference in the video of the lights I'm putting on. So this is lights off in the garage, and that right there is dim, if you remember, and that's bright. So that will be test number 1 before the lights go on. Okay, so to remove the headlight, we have to use a star bit for these guys right here, and I'm going to be unscrewing those. I've got a handy dandy power tool, and I've got my drill set on a lower setting so it doesn't torque it out, and hopefully it goes smoothly. There's your bolts. That's about the size you're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and finish out the rest of these, and I'll show you the assembly after it's done. Okay, I've got the last bolt out. There's 4 of them, and you can just take the assembly out. You can tell how much generous slack they gave you at Jeep. That's a ton right there, isn't it? Whoa, look at all that room. Completely being facetious here. This is ridiculous. thank goodness when you order new headlights, they give you extensions, which are actually more adapters than anything else. So if you're just taking the headlight and you're replacing it, all you want to do is the same quarter turn there. That's, again, I'll do it one more time. You can turn this, or you can turn this guy. 1/4 turn, and it should pop right out. Be very careful when you're taking the bulb out, because you don't really want to touch the edges and stuff, and you certainly don't want to touch that headlight beam. But here's your headlight casing there. Now, off to the side. And if you're replacing your headlights and your head bulbs, don't, let me put this down really carefully here, hold on. Don't get rid of your ring, okay? This is important. You'll need this to install your new headlight, okay? So don't toss this. You just want to toss this guy, okay? All right. All right, so the first thing you want to do when you're getting rid of this, the H30 or H13 or H50649, whichever version you're using, and you'll see that on the Jeep, and make sure that you get the right assembly for what model Jeep you have. If it's a 2007 through 17, or if it's a TJ or a JK or the new J, you know, whatever it is, make sure when you order something now that you're ordering the correct assembly, because when you're taking these guys off, it's a slide. See, there's nothing on the back. And now, since the slide is loose, you can actually pry this off. And I don't like to use a whole bunch of friction. I like to use my tools. So I'm going to try to put this guy right in there and give it a little twist without touching that dang bulb. Because let me tell you, these Jeeps definitely get caked on with mud and sand and everything else that falls in there as you're driving down the road. So they're not easy to pry off. And you can tell, look at all the dust and stuff in there. Ugh, that's like, I think it's a cobweb. Gosh, dust. But these headlights still work. So my bulb has the 3 connectors there. And the one thing I want to make sure is, are these connectors good? And I'm going to set this bulb to the side in case something goes wrong. I can reuse this guy. So this guy right here is still functioning. I haven't touched this bulb. And I'm going to set it to the side somewhere safe. And I'll be right back. Mm-hmm. All right, so as you can see, you know, after I remove this off, look how much dust and stuff's there. It's just a good idea, if you can, just to get some electronic cleaner and just give it a good go here. And that's not going to hurt your electronics. Make sure it's an electronic approved cleaner, and it gives a good connection for the future pieces going in when it's all dusty like that. I'm going to do that on both sides. I just wanted to show you one side at least. And so I went with these LX light bulbs that I'm going to put in because I like the way they look. They were a lot cheaper than some of the high price ones out there. Yes, I may end up regretting it later, but for now, I'll let you know how that goes. Every one of the light bulbs you get, no matter what you do, they're going to be some kind of DOT approved. They should have a DOT indication. This one has it on top. And they're going to have some type of adapter for your lights. Now, some of the lights will also have flickers, anti-flicker devices, because LED lights have a tendency to flick. But you should have an adapter that would be able to plug straight in to the current one. You should still be able to use your lock mechanism. Oh, so much more room now. Look at that. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And then that adapter connects to the light bulb itself. I keep calling it a light bulb, it's a headlight. That's beside the point. So then when you plug this guy in, that guy. That's what you got going on now. I don't like the way this is left, so I'm going to wrap this with some electrical tape, some waterproofing, so to speak, because that housing seems way better off than this housing that just pushed together and it leaves this whole seam right here. So I'm personally going to wrap this with electrical tape, and I can show you that after I'm done. And then we're going to put this assembly back. And it's going to be sitting here, and I'll give you a sneak peek of what each one of them look like before I do both headlights. Okay. So the reverse is true. All I'm doing is putting the housing back in place, putting the ring back on top, and putting the screws back in. This is very straightforward. And I'm going to use the star bit and the drill to go back in place. I'm going to do that with the other 3, and then I'll show you the result. That's good. Okay. All right, so there's the one headlight installed. This is the new guy, of course. This is the factory, and you can see the difference. I'm going to turn on the lights from the inside as that's going. So there's the difference right there. As you can see, the one on the right, the new one, and then the one on the left. That's on low beam, and that's on high beam. So now I'm just going to put this assembly back in place. You can see I've covered it with some electrical tape. I just like this assembly done a little bit better because I don't want the dust and whatnot that was in the assembly already from the prior one to get into this connection. It just didn't seem secure enough to me. But that's just me. Maybe it was. And I'm just going to slip this back in place, reconnect it, and show you the finished product after I get this grill back on. And I'll show you putting the grill back on briefly when I'm done here. Once you get the headlights in, it's important that you go ahead and turn them on. Remember I said mark something here at the very beginning? You can see this right one is up higher than the left one. We got to lower that down. So let's look at the headlight assembly and see where to go for that. You can see the headlights on, but you can see this bolt right here. It's the same star bit that you used to actually remove this. And you can just slip this in and go counterclockwise, and you'll see it lower down. So we're going to show you the wall as I go counterclockwise. And it makes it much easier with a drill. And I'm going to keep going because I remember the low beams were lower because they were on that seam. And I'm going to go to the other side and make it match. That looks pretty close to me. Let's take a look at the high beams. And low beams. I think I had them on high beams. Mm-hmm. Looks like the low beam on this side needs to go down a little bit further. Maybe that's it right there. All right, I'm going to turn off the lights and give you a light test. You can see them a little bit easier that way. So I went down too far on the right, on the left, I mean. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go back up a little bit. I can still see my bolt. I've got a flashlight here. Is that about right? Mm-hmm. Is that it?
Maybe a little higher.
A little higher?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Better?
Yeah.
Is the lighter in the way?
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Now I'm going to put the grill assembly back on. I'll show you that process. And then we'll take a look at these headlights. All right, so we're going to get the grill back on, but I want to pay attention. This is where those metal slits are in the frame itself, and that's what these guys right here will go into. So if any of these break, it's really kind of a pain. You don't necessarily need all of them in place, but you'll be annoyed because it'll flop around, the bumper flop around. You can see that there's not a real good answer for replacing this whole entire assembly here. So try to be ginger with it and kind of not mess it up. Again, these are going to go in the fog lights, and that is this metal slit right here. Actually, this is a plastic slit. It's not even metal. And I keep calling these fog lights. Forgive me. These obviously are not fog lights. Your fog lights are down lower. These are your parking indicator lights, but I'm going to keep calling them fog lights anyway, and you can make fun of me in the comments. So before I put this back on, I'd like to go ahead and slip the light bulbs back on. Remember, these are just in with 1/4 of a turn. So now I'm going to line all these guys up. You can see where this are. You can see where this is. I'm going to give this a nice hard push at just different spots. So make sure you try to get in there. If you don't have a winch on, it's going to be a lot easier. And give it a good push. And you can usually, yeah, there we go. You can feel that whole resistance in the beginning. So now you got the pieces that you were going to put on in the beginning, that you took off in the beginning, that you're going to put back on. And the way you put these back on, remember, this is skinny. So if you get it in there, if you break one of these, like I have multiple times, you can certainly get a whole pack of these, and they're fairly affordable on Amazon, or you can go to like a hardware store if that's what you prefer, and you can get a bunch of replacements for these. They're easy to find. So I'm going to close the hood and see how this thing really looks with the headlights. And here are the headlights on. You can see it looks much better than the stock headlights. That was bright, this is dim, a little back and forth here. I'm very satisfied with the overall look, both on and off, and I can't wait to do those fog lights. I'm going to put fog lights in on the next. You can see they don't match. And I'm gonna put that in as a separate video, so it's not one long continuous thing. I need 1,000 subscribers, guys. Hopefully you're looking at this when I've already got it. But once I get there, I've got something super special for you. I'm gonna pan to the left a little bit and give you a sneak peek.